Before we begin, turn off the lights, not because it's more fun that way, but because what's in the dark can't find you if it can't see your face. Close the door, and whatever you do, don't look at your shadow. Not yet. Chapter 1. The Woods Behind Millhaven. The town of Millhaven had one rule that every parent whispered to every child before they were old enough to understand why. Don't go into the woods after the first frost. Not because of wolves, not because of strangers, but because of the girl. She had no name anymore. Names, you see, are things the living carry. And whatever she was, whatever she had become, she had long since set hers down somewhere between the roots and the rot and the leaf scattered dark. The photograph was taken in 1962. A local man, a hobbyist, a father of 3, a man who developed his own film in his basement, had gone into the woods to shoot autumn scenery. He wanted falling leaves. He wanted bare branches against a pale sky. Instead, he got her. He didn't see her when he pressed the shutter. He only saw her when the image floated up through the chemical bath in his darkroom. A girl, mouth open, head thrown back, screaming or laughing. It was impossible to tell which. And behind her, not beside her, not ahead of her, but growing out of the bark of the tree like a tumor that had learned to breathe, was a shadow with no source. The sun that day had been directly overhead. There were no shadows falling long, no angles that could have produced what the photograph showed. And yet, the shadow loomed, 7 feet tall, shoulders like a barn door, and in its hand, extended toward the girl with something almost resembling tenderness, a human skull. The photographer's name was Gerald Marsh. He showed the photograph to exactly one person, his wife, before locking it in a tin box and burying it beneath the floorboards of his basement. He never spoke of it again. He never went into the woods again. And 2 weeks later, his youngest daughter, 7 years old, red boots, gap-toothed smile, walked out the back door during dinner and was never seen again. They found one red boot, just one, at the tree line. Chapter 2. Mara. 60 years later, a woman named Mara Voss bought the Marsh house. She was a photographer herself, documentary work mostly, dark subjects, abandoned asylums, forgotten graveyards, towns that had been slowly swallowed by time. She had a gift for finding the image inside the emptiness, for seeing what others walked past. She found the tin box on her 3rd day in the house. She wasn't looking for it. She was fixing a water leak beneath the basement floor, pulling up old boards that had gone soft and black with damp. And there it was, a rectangular tin box, the kind that might have held cookies once. Now it was sealed with rust and something that looked disturbingly like old wax, the kind used in rituals, in sealing. Her rational mind said, old house, old junk. Her hands that had photographed 100 dark places and never once trembled, shook. She opened it anyway. The photograph inside was perfectly preserved, and Mara Voss stared at it for a very long time. Because she recognized the girl. She recognized herself. That was impossible, of course. Mara was 34. The photograph was 60 years old. The girl in the image looked no older than 9 or 10. And yet, the shape of the open mouth, the angle of the thrown-back head, the particular way the hair fell across the left eye. Mara had a photograph of herself at age 9. Her mother had taken it in their backyard in Ohio. She had thrown her head back, mouth open, laughing at something her father had said. The posture was identical. Not similar. Identical. She told herself it was coincidence. Pareidolia. The human brain's tendency to find familiar faces in random shapes. She was a photographer. She knew how the eye deceived itself. She put the photograph on her work table. She poured herself a whiskey. She looked at the photograph again, and this time she noticed something she hadn't before. The skull in the shadow's hand. It was facing the camera. Empty sockets looking directly into the lens. And in those sockets, in the impossible lightless hollow of those eye sockets, there was something pale and small and curved. She pulled out her magnifying glass. She leaned in close. It was a reflection. The skull's eye sockets were reflecting something. The image was tiny, badly degraded, 60 years of chemical decay eating at the edges. But Mara could make out a shape, a house, a specific house, her house. Chapter 3, the first night. She should have left. She knew she should have left. Instead, she set up her camera. Mara was a photographer. When something terrified her, her instinct was to document it, put a lens between herself and the horror, make it a subject, make it art. She pointed her camera at the window that faced the woods. She set it to long exposure, 30 seconds. And she waited. The woods were dark. The first frost of the season had come that afternoon, and the bare branches made a lattice against the sky like cracked bone china. She pressed the shutter. She waited 30 seconds. She checked the image. Nothing. Just trees. She pressed the shutter again. Waited. Checked. Nothing. A third time. Waited. Checked. And this time, there was a shape at the tree line. Tall, broad-shouldered, with its arm extended, offering something. Mara looked up from her camera and stared at the actual woods through the actual window. Nothing there. She looked back at the image on her camera screen. The shape was still there. And now it was closer. Hey, if this story is getting under your skin, hit that subscribe button right now. New horror every week, and don't go anywhere. The worst part is still coming. She shot frame after frame. In every image, the shape was closer. In the real woods, through the real window, nothing. And then, on the 9th frame, the shape was directly outside the glass. Mara could see it on her camera screen. She could see the window in the image. She could see the reflection of the room in the glass. She could see herself sitting at the table, looking at the camera. And she could see the shape directly behind her. She spun around. The room was empty. She turned back to the camera screen. In the image, the shape was gone. But it had left something behind. On the table. In the image. Right next to where the tin box had been sitting. A skull. Mara looked at her actual table. The tin box was there. And next to it, she hadn't put that there. She had never seen it before in her life. And it was grinning at her with all 32 of its teeth. Static Ritual. End of part 1.